Sagittarius, if you are between the ages of 50 and 75, can you hear it? It is not just a knock at the door. It is the urgent call of destiny. You may have thought your journey had quieted down, that your dreams lived only in memory. But the truth is this: right now, the universe is beginning to open the most radiant chapter meant for you. In this video, I will walk with you through the sacred astrological map to see why it is at 50 to 75 that Sagittarius enters the most brilliant chapter of destiny. Write it down right now. I am ready to embrace my great destiny. Because that declaration is the very key that connects you to the stream of energy now unfolding for Sagittarius. But Sagittarius, destiny does not knock only to remind you that time is passing. It knocks to hand you a new role. At 50 to 75, you are no longer just the traveler seeking answers for yourself. This is the moment you step into the destiny of wisdom, where every experience, every wound, every dream once left behind converges into a light that guides the way. When we speak of Sagittarius, we imagine the traveler, eyes shining, bow in hand, heart forever restless for the horizon. In youth, Sagittarius is like a bird that refuses the cage. They go, they explore, they push the borders of their own being to find truth. But as they enter 50 to 75, a quiet, profound shift begins. This is no longer the season of tireless journeys. It is the time to harvest the fruit of a long road. And more than that, it is the time Sagittarius crosses the doorway of wisdom. In astrology, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, blessing, and truth. In midlife and later years, Jupiter no longer urges you to expand into distant lands or daring risks. It now calls you to expand within. The expansion of the heart, the expansion of wisdom, the ripening born of 1,000 experiences. If in youth Sagittarius longed to see the world with their eyes, then at 50 to 75, Sagittarius longs to understand the world with their heart. And that is the essential difference. I have walked beside many Sagittarians at different moments of life. I saw them at 20, reckless, eager, desperate to touch everything the world could give. I saw them at 30 and 40, breaking barriers, walking roads no one dared, paying the price for freedom. And then I saw them past 60, their eyes no longer blazing but carrying a deeper light, quieter, steadier, a torch burning in the night. At 50 to 75, Sagittarius is no longer the seeker of answers, only for themselves. They have lived enough to know the greatest questions hold no single reply. And the miracle is this: their curiosity does not die. It transforms, it becomes wisdom, it becomes the ability to shine light for those still wandering in the dark. Looking back over a lifetime, you will see, not one step was wasted. Every failure, every wound, every fall has become a stone laid upon the bridge that has carried you here. A Sagittarius once told me, "I lost everything at 55, my work, my marriage, my health. I thought my life had ended, but it was that very loss that showed me what I had never lost, my faith in the light. And from the ruins, I rebuilt my life." That is the lesson for us all. No journey is ever wasted. Even when you think you have gone astray, the road still brings you back to yourself. And for Sagittarius, this is even more true. You may have thought 70 was the age to step back, but for Sagittarius, this is the time to step forward, torch in hand, lighting the way for those to come. Picture it, a 70-year-old Sagittarius, hair silver, standing among the young. No longer strong enough to travel far, yet his words, the light in his eyes, the wisdom in his heart, become the map for countless lives. This is the image Jupiter offers Sagittarius in this season, and it is the image our society needs most right now. I believe this with all my heart. Our world is in a crisis of faith. The young face too many choices, too much information, yet lack direction. They hold technology, yet lack a compass for the soul. And in this moment, the presence of Sagittarius at 50 to 75 is of immense meaning. Sagittarius can connect knowledge with faith, freedom with responsibility. They have wandered, they have fallen, they have been broken. And because of this, they are living proof that the human spirit can rise again from any fall. Remember this: 50 to 75 is not a full stop. It is a comma, a pause to look back, and then to step forward with a new role, the role of guide. If you are Sagittarius, ask yourself, what have I learned from my journey? What can I pass on to the next generation? Am I ready to become the torch that lights the way for others? These questions are not philosophy alone. They are the very invitation of destiny. And when you answer yes, the universe itself will open a new road before you. Picture this. One morning you wake to a knock at the door. You open it and no one is there. Yet in your heart you feel it, an undeniable knowing, the time has come. That is how destiny knocks. Not with noise, but with a whisper you cannot deny. And for Sagittarius at 50 to 75, that whisper is this: become the light. Live the rest of your life as a lamp that never goes out. If these words reach your heart, then write it down. I am ready to embrace my great destiny. Because each comment, each affirmation is not only words on a screen, it is the way you sign a sacred covenant with your own life. And if you believe this message may lift someone else, then like this video and share it. Because perhaps the light of your Sagittarius soul is exactly what someone out there needs. But wisdom does not arrive on its own. It is forged through loss, through trial, and through long nights of solitude. To understand why destiny chooses the ages of 50 to 75 as the golden hour for Sagittarius, we must look closely at one thing: the connection between loss and faith. In the astrological chart, the 9th house, the house of faith, is the sacred house of Sagittarius. It is the place tied to knowledge, belief, philosophy, and religion. If the first house is the door of birth, then the 9th house is the spiritual journey every Sagittarius must walk. And the truth is this: at 50 to 75, this house seems to ring its bell the loudest. I have witnessed many Sagittarians at this stage. They told me they had lost a lifelong partner. Some had just retired, and suddenly the role that once defined their entire life was gone. Some faced illness, standing at the threshold between life and death, and all those losses seemed like the final period. But in truth, they were a beginning. I have seen Sagittarians at this age standing at the edge of despair, like a candle about to go out in the cold wind. But strangely, only a few years later, I saw them burning bright like a torch, carrying a strength even they had not known was within them. Faith does not come on clear days. Faith is found when the darkness closes in. I believe God often allows Sagittarius to pass through great loss, because He wants them to learn how to shine, not in happiness, but in the night. We often think faith means denying pain. But no, faith is not pretending loss never happened. Faith is daring to walk through the darkness, hands still holding the light. A Sagittarius woman once told me, "When my husband died at 62, I collapsed. But it was then I realized my faith did not depend on whether he was here or gone. My faith was knowing that his soul remained, that God remained, and that I still had a reason to keep living." That story is proof. True faith does not erase the night. It transforms the night into the path toward the light. Each time you wept in silence, you may have thought God did not hear, but it is within that very sob that destiny begins to knock. I want you to pause now and ask yourself, how many times have you cried alone, with no one knowing? How many times have you felt utterly invisible, as though no one saw you? And yet, strangely, after those tears, you discovered within yourself a new strength, a new patience, a new hope. Could it be the proof that you have never truly been alone? In astrology, the 9th house speaks not only of knowledge, but of the journey to find God, to find the deeper meaning of existence. For Sagittarius at 50 to 75, when the material world begins to slip away, the 9th house opens like a sacred doorway. This is the stage when Sagittarius begins to see more clearly. We do not live only to accumulate. We do not live only to conquer. We live to learn how to let go, how to trust, how to find God in even the smallest loss. I do not believe God lives only in great cathedrals or solemn rituals. I believe He lives in the wind blowing through the garden, in the tear-filled eyes of a widow, in the trembling but steady hands of a patient at prayer. For Sagittarius, connection with God is not far away. It is near. It is present. It runs through their blood each time they dare to believe that after the night, dawn will come. I know these words may be hard to grasp, but I believe this. Loss is a gift. It is not punishment. It is invitation. Loss invites you to pause. It reminds you life is not forever, that everything is fragile. And in that fragility, you learn to love more completely, to give more freely, to live as if today were the last day. That is the wisdom Sagittarius receives at 50 to 75. I knew a Sagittarius man who at 70 lost his only son. The grief nearly destroyed him. But instead of closing his heart, he began lighting candles each night. Each flame was a prayer. He lit them not only for his son, but for every child out there suffering. After years, those candles became a sacred ritual. People came to his home to pray with him, and he said to me, "I lost my son, but I found God. I lost one life, but I gained an entire community." That story tells us this: sometimes from the greatest loss, we find the deepest faith. You may be in a season of loss now. Perhaps you have lost someone, or a role that once defined your life. But believe this: your pain can be turned into light. Write it down right now. I believe my loss will turn into light. Each word you write is a seed planted in your soul. And when you dare to plant it, you will see flowers bloom in the moment you least expect. And here is the wonder. Once you walk through loss, your faith is no longer only for yourself. It becomes a light for everyone around you. From here, Sagittarius enters a new chapter, when destiny is not only for you, but for society itself. In the astrological chart, when Jupiter, the planet of expansion and truth, forms a harmonious trine with Saturn, the planet of responsibility and discipline, something special takes place. Sagittarius enters the most mature season of their life. If in youth, Jupiter urged Sagittarius to set out, to search for truth in faraway lands, then at 50 to 75, Saturn appears to remind them, it is time to use what you have gathered to build for others. Expansion, Jupiter, now joins with stability, Saturn. This is why so many Sagittarians at this age become the torch for the community. I believe that Sagittarius at 50 to 75 no longer lives only for themselves. They have traveled, they have seen, they have tasted life. And now, those experiences are no longer just treasures for their own heart, but gifts to be offered back to others. One of the most sacred roles of Sagittarius at this age is that of storyteller. But these are not passing tales meant only to entertain. They are soul stories, woven with truth, justice, and hope. In each story Sagittarius shares, the listener finds themselves. They find strength to endure sorrow, clarity amid confusion, and faith in the midst of despair. And so Sagittarius becomes the heir of soul lessons. At 50 to 75, destiny for Sagittarius is no longer about traveling far to satisfy personal longing. It is about bringing justice, truth, and hope to others. Every society needs those who dare to speak truth, who dare to defend justice, who dare to carry light into chaos. And Sagittarius is among them. Once, they were the lone traveler, but at this stage, they become a bridge. One end holding fast the memories of generations before, the other opening into the hopes of generations to come. And it is they, Sagittarius, who bear that sacred mission. You are no longer only the lonely traveler. You are the bridge that connects the past and the future. Picture this. You sit at a family table. On your left are your parents, frail with age. On your right, your children and grandchildren, innocent and wide-eyed. And you realize you are the bridge, carrying within you both the memory of what came before and the hope of what lies ahead. That is the role of Sagittarius at 50 to 75. Not everyone can carry it. But the universe chose you because you have enough experience, enough loss, enough light. I remember a Sagittarius woman. At 68, she chose to open a free class for poor children in her neighborhood. People asked, "At your age, how can you still take on such burdens?" She only smiled and said, "I have traveled far, I have learned much. Now it is time to give back. If my light can help one child believe in tomorrow, then I will do it." Years later, those children had grown. Some became doctors, some teachers, some loving parents. They returned to visit her and called her our torch. And I believe that is the most vivid image of Sagittarius at 50 to 75. If you are listening now and you are Sagittarius, pause and ask yourself, do I see that my life is now being used to help others? Write your answer in the comments. And if your heart whispers yes, then affirm it by writing, "I am ready to become a torch for the community." Because when you affirm it, you are signing a covenant with your destiny. And if you believe this light must spread, like this video and share it, your light may become the flame that warms someone else, even in this very moment. There is a truth that youth often cannot see. Living for yourself is necessary, but living for others is fulfillment. Sagittarius at 50 to 75 understands this deeply. You may no longer run quickly, you may no longer travel far, but you can still speak a word that makes someone rise, tell a story that gives another hope, or offer a hand that lets someone know they are not alone. And that is the greatest gift Sagittarius can give to the world. But destiny does not stop at community. It reaches further, deeper, into something none of us can escape: legacy. What will you leave behind when you depart this world? A house, a sum of money, or hearts that were touched by your light? We will walk together into the next part of this journey to discover the true wealth and legacy of Sagittarius. In astrology, the axis of the second house, the 8th house, and the 11th house marks the profound path Sagittarius must cross. The second house speaks of personal possessions, what you own, what you cherish. The 8th speaks of sharing, of death, of rebirth, of legacy left to others. The 11th speaks of community, of connections larger than yourself. At 50 to 75, Sagittarius begins to see a truth. True wealth is not in what you hold, but in the values you leave behind. Many believe legacy is land, money, houses. But Sagittarius, you know better than anyone. Real legacy is the light you plant in another's heart, the freedom you pass down, the living story you leave for the next generation. I once sat with a 72-year-old Sagittarius. He said, "My children can sell this house, spend all this money, but there is one thing they can never lose. The memory of the times I taught them to trust in God, to dare to go far, to dare to love. That is the part of my life I leave behind." And I believe that is the true meaning of legacy. Not what can be taken away, but what is carved forever in another's heart. Destiny knocks at 50 to 75 not to take away, but to remind you. There is still something you have yet to give. You may think you have given too much already, that you have worked your whole life. But if you look deeper, you will see there's still one piece of advice left unsaid, one hand left unheld, one faith left unshared. Sagittarius was born to give, and it is in giving that they truly become rich. Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself, if tomorrow you were no longer here, what would truly remain? Not the house, not the bank account, only the hearts you have touched. How will they remember you? As one who left behind only wealth, or as a torch that lit the way? I once knew a Sagittarius man. When he passed away, his family found no great fortune in his will. What they received was an old guitar. But with that guitar came a story. All his life, he carried it to hospitals, to orphanages, to churches, singing for the broken and the weary. After his death, the guitar became a treasure of the family. His grandchildren still played it at gatherings, and they said, "He left us no riches, but he left us his soul." That is legacy. And so I ask you, listening now, what legacy do you wish to leave for those who come after you? Write your answer in the comments. For when you write it, you plant the first seed of your legacy. And if these words touch your heart, share this video, because perhaps this reminder will help someone out there rediscover meaning for the days they still have. Deep within, I believe the greatest legacy of Sagittarius is freedom. Freedom to believe. Freedom to love. Freedom to live true. Many leave behind gold and silver, but Sagittarius leaves behind a lesson. You were not born for chains. You were born for the open sky. You can find God within your own heart. And to me, that is the gift more precious than any inheritance. Life always has a limit, and at 50 to 75, Sagittarius feels that limit more clearly than ever. This is why it is the moment to ask, have I given enough? For one day, when time is gone, you will wish you had loved more, forgiven more, shared more. So give while you still can. That is how you turn destiny into legacy. I once read a letter a Sagittarius wrote to his grandchildren before he died. "My children, I do not leave you much money, but I leave you the faith that life is always worth living. I leave you the freedom I once chose so that you will know mankind was not born to fear, but to rise. Carry this light further than I ever did." I believe that is the true wealth of Sagittarius. And here Sagittarius steps into their sacred gift. No longer the seeker, but the pioneer. No longer the wanderer, but the guide of light. Sagittarius, we have walked a long road together. From fiery youth to the ages of 50 to 75, where destiny knocks not to warn, but to offer one final chance, to become the light, to leave a legacy, to live fully in faith. Let me pause here and offer you my deepest thanks. Thank you for listening with your heart. Thank you for the courage to face yourself. And thank you because your very presence in this world has been a gift to humanity. But remember this, This journey is not meant only to be heard and forgotten. It is a calling. The universe has knocked. Destiny has been waiting, and now you must answer. Write it down right now. I am ready to embrace my great destiny. Because when you write, you are not only affirming it for yourself, you are lighting a flame for the entire community of Sagittarius listening now. Each comment is a fire, and when those fires join together, the sky will blaze with light. And do not forget, if this message has touched your soul, like this video and share it. Because the light is not meant to be kept for yourself. It must be spread so that someone out there in the dark can find their flame too. Sagittarius, this is only the beginning. For once you step through this doorway of destiny, a sacred gift will awaken. The gift of prophecy, the gift of guiding by light. In the next part, I will share with you why it is Sagittarius who has chosen to become the pioneer for the soul of humanity. Come with me to discover it.